This is the weekend edition of iFIBER 1 News, where we present some of the top stories from this week and your weekend weather forecast.
And I know you're looking forward to a nice weekend, and I have just the menu for you. The winds of today going bye-bye, and the temperature is very nice. All the details coming on up.
I'm Roger Adelson. Stay tuned for more on the weekend edition of iFIBER 1 News.
From the iFIBER 1 HD studio here in the heart of the Columbia Basin, this is iFIBER 1 News, your number one source for local news, sports headlines, and our very own Weather Center forecast covering the entire Columbia Basin. This is iFIBER 1 News, and it starts now.
One of our top stories for this week was Soap Lake's gallery opening at the Moses Lake Museum and Art Center. And here with the story is Jeff Chu.
The quirky little arts community of Soap Lake went on exhibit at Moses Lake Museum and Art Center. The gallery exhibit, called Side-Stitched and In Between, Soap Lake Through the Lens and More, is dedicated to the late Soap Lake arts advocate Brent Blake. It opened Friday night with great fanfare. Soap Lake photographer Kathy Kiefer, who curated the exhibit with artist Allison Gooding, says it seemed to be channeling Brent Blake's positive spirit and energy.
I feel like there's a real presence of Brent Blake. I mean, if you pan and you see the almost full-size image of him sitting in the chair. It's a black and white portrait that Gavin Syme took, but it's a really beautiful image of Brent. And then we have that blob from the piece from the mechanical lava lamp that was in Times Square for, I don't know how millions of people saw it. Here it is in this museum. You know, if you just look at the eyes are watching, there's been a lot of eyes on that, and still people can still see it today and just, learn a little bit about Brent and his legacy.
Soap Lake's own 91-year-old Bonnie Guitar was introduced by Soap Lake Mayor Raymond Gravel. She and her band Blue Indigo performed some of her favorites.
You wrote me this morning.
Raffle tickets were sold for a colorful community-made quilt to raise money for the Brent Blake Scholarship Fund to benefit art students at Big Bend Community College. The scholarship fund was recently created in the name of Blake, who died last year of cancer.
We wanted it to really represent Soap Lake. We wanted to feel like Soap Lake, and we wanted people who artists in Soap Lake to have a part in it, to show their work. It's a very inclusive show. It's really inclusive, and that's the way we wanted it. It feels like Soap Lake.
Kiefer said she was happy with the outcome of the exhibit.
It's turned out beautifully.
I'm Jeff Chu for iFIBER 1 News.
Another top story this week was about Vision 2020's annual citywide cleanup. Here's Vivian Huang with the story.
For 12 years, Vision 2020 has gathered groups of volunteers, taking to the streets for the annual Moses Lake citywide cleanup. Volunteers lined up behind the Porterhouse Steakhouse, where vests, garbage bags, and route assignments were distributed. Cleanup Route Coordinator Alan Haru said the significance in the event lies in Vision 2020's dedication to the city and making it a better place.
Basically, as you're driving down the road, if you look around, there's a lot of litter, and it's not necessarily people throwing things out of their cars, although that does happen a lot, but it's garbage cans that aren't covered, things that get knocked over, just the wind around here. It'll move garbage from one place to another place, and it all accumulates beside roads, in fences, in fields, and if somebody doesn't go out and pick that up, it sticks there, and it just doesn't look good. It's a very bad image as people are driving towards town, and so what we try to do is make sure that my focus as the route guy who handles where people are going is first, the main entrance is into Moses Lake, and then the streets that people are going to travel the most when they're visiting town, because what we want to do is put our best foot forward and try to make the image that we portray, be as neat and tidy as we can.
Haru also notes the areas in the city that need the most attention change constantly depending on where the wind blows.
The fields behind the movie theater, as you have buildings and such in town, there's nothing that really stops the garbage till it hits the fields, and then it sticks in the weeds. The big wall up along Highway 17 on the south end gets a whole lot of garbage that accumulates in the fence over there. The fence along Highway 17 over by Lowe's we'll get a lot in there because, you know, as things blow, it hits the field on the edge of the road, and that's where it sticks. Now, if the wind had been blowing the other direction this week, it'd be the other end of town that's getting it. So it really kind of depends.
For iFIBER 1 News, this is Vivian Huang.
A mile-long stretch of road in Moses Lake is closed for blasting. Reporter Jeff Chu has the details.
Part of a closed mile-long section of Road N northeast north of Moses Lake was scheduled to be blasted late today. Tomer Construction of Ephrata is excavating the section of Road N between Roads 8 and 9 northeast to make way for pavement. The road segment is scheduled to be closed until May 21st. Blasting was required to remove about 2 feet of a high point in the road for better sight distance and a 50-mile-per-hour speed limit. I'm Jeff Chu for iFIBER 1 News.
Now we take a look at individuals with warrants issued by the Grant County Sheriff's Office.
This is Sheriff Tom Jones with the Grant County Sheriff's Office. Each of the people you see here have a warrant for their arrest. If you see any of these people, we ask you do not attempt to detain or apprehend them, but call us at 509-762-1160 or send us an email at crimetips@co.grant.wa.us. If the person is presenting a danger, call 911. With your help, we can bring these people to justice and make our community safer.
We'll be right back after this.